All right, today we're grabbing the report card for Restaurant Brands International. You know, RBI. They're the massive company behind Tim Hortons, Burger King, and Popeyes. So the big question is, did they ace their quarterly exams, or is there a note to see the teacher? Let's get into it.
So let's just start with the headline number, the one that jumps right off the page. RBI pulled in a massive 8.8% in organic profit growth. Now that just means growth from their main business, not counting stuff like buying other companies. In the fast food game, a number that big, well, it definitely makes you sit up and pay attention.
And here's what makes that number even crazier, the timing. You and I both know people are watching every penny right now, really tightening their belts. So for RBI to find this kind of growth in this economy, that's the real story we're going to unpack.
Okay, so here's our game plan for this explainer. We're going to start with the powerhouse brands that are really driving things. Then, we'll get into the incredible comeback story happening at Burger King. After that, we got to talk about the challenges over at Popeyes. And finally, we'll zoom all the way out to look at the grand strategy for the whole company.
So first things first, where is all this awesome growth really coming from? Well, it's pretty clear it's being fired up by two main engines. Tim Hortons just continuing to own its home turf in Canada, and some seriously explosive growth happening all over the world. And these are two totally different success stories, but they're both incredibly powerful. In Canada, Tim Hortons is more than just a coffee shop, right? It's a national treasure, and it's just continuing to dominate. At the same time, you've got RBI's other brands just spreading like wildfire overseas.
The numbers for Tim's really tell you everything you need to know. Comp sales, that's just sales at stores that have been open for at least a year. They're up over 4%. But check out the details. Breakfast sales jumped 6.5%, and cold drinks are soaring, up 10%. And this really shows you the power of a good app. Their loyalty program has over 7 million people. And get this, those members are spending 50% more than they used to. That's huge.
Okay, now let's hop across the pond to the international scene, because the growth there is even more dramatic. System-wide sales, which is everybody, new stores and old, are up a whopping 12%. And here's the really interesting part. Popeyes, which we'll see is having a tough time in the US, is an absolute rock star overseas, with international sales up over 35%. A lot of that is fueled by really smart marketing, like a super successful campaign they did with the anime Naruto.
And you know, the folks at the top are definitely noticing. The executive chairman, Patrick Doyle, he put it simply, Tim's is firing on all cylinders. That's not just bragging about today, it's a huge vote of confidence for where they see things going long term.
All right, let's shift gears and talk about a brand that's basically writing its own comeback movie right now. For a while there, Burger King in the US was really struggling to keep up. But it looks like the home of the Whopper is finally, well, reclaiming its flame.
The whole strategy behind this turnaround has a name, the Reclaim the Flame plan. And it's built on three really simple, common-sense ideas. First, make the restaurants look modern and fresh. Second, make them run better. And third, get people excited about the brand again with better marketing.
And hey, the results? They kind of speak for themselves. With a 3.2% jump in comparable sales in the US, Burger King isn't just growing again, it's actually growing faster than the rest of the fast food burger joints out there.
So how are they doing it? It's really a mix of things. They're putting the spotlight back on their star player, the Whopper. They're offering solid deals that people can count on, like the $5 duos. And those restaurant upgrades, they're making a huge difference. Remodeled stores are seeing sales jump up into the high teens.
And again, here's Chairman Patrick Doyle, and he says you can literally feel the turnaround taking hold. He makes a great point that this isn't some one-time fluke, it's the result of 2 straight years of hard work.
Okay, so Tim Hortons is crushing it. The international business is on fire, and Burger King is making a huge comeback? RBI's report card is looking like it's headed for the honor roll, right? Well, there is one class they're struggling with. Let's talk about the work in progress, Popeyes in the US.
Yeah, because while most of the family was celebrating some pretty fantastic results, one brand was singing a very different tune this quarter.
This chart just lays it out there in black and white. You see Tim Hortons and Burger King with that nice positive growth. And then you see Popeyes. Sales in the US actually went down by 2%. It's a pretty stark difference, and it's really the one big smudge on an otherwise great report.
So what's going on here? Well, to their credit, the company was really open about it. They said their special deals got people in the door once, but they didn't come back. Even a big relaunch of their wings barely moved the needle. The diagnosis seems pretty clear. They need to get back to basics. The chicken, the tenders, the sandwich, and give people a reason to come back every day, not just for a gimmick.
And look,
Management is not making any excuses. The CEO, Josh Kobza, he said it flat out. We're not satisfied with our performance. And admitting you have a problem is always the first step to fixing it.
So with all these different brand stories in our heads, the wins, the losses, the comebacks, let's zoom out one last time and look at the big picture, the grand strategy that's guiding the entire company.
And that whole grand strategy really boils down to one single word: simplification. Chairman Patrick Doyle says the goal is to create a much simpler story for everyone by getting back to what they do best, which is being a company that is almost 100% franchised.
So, what the heck does refranchising actually mean? It sounds kind of jargony, but the idea is actually super simple. RBI sells the restaurants it owns itself to individual franchise owners. This makes their business capital light. So instead of dealing with all the costs and headaches of running a restaurant day to day, they just collect a steady, predictable check from the franchisee every month. It's a much simpler business.
And this isn't just some dream they have. They're actively doing it. They're already in the middle of selling off a huge group of Burger King restaurants they just bought. They're looking for a new partner to take over Burger King in China. Every one of these moves is a step toward that goal of being almost totally franchised.
And all of this brings us back to the biggest question mark for RBI's future. You've got Tim Hortons and the international business just firing on all cylinders. You've got the Burger King comeback story in full swing. So now, all eyes are on Popeyes. Can the team that figured out how to fix Burger King work that same magic on their chicken brand? Or is Popeyes going to stay the one problem child on an otherwise stellar report card?